Hello, I am Bobet. I am a police commissioner working at the French Interministerial Mission for combating drugs and addictive behaviors. And I'm going to present you a French experimental device called Limits to fight against the involvement of youngsters in drug trafficking. The aim of Limits was to experiment a city-scale project to fight against the involvement of youngsters in drug trafficking. It was an experimentation of 3 years, initiated in 2020 under the impulse of MILDECA. This allowed the implementation of 3 different territorial devices driven by a mayor, involving national authorities, justice, police, education, health, but also local actors, social housing, social workers, associations, and families or residents of the neighborhoods affected by drug trafficking. In France, the situation has evolved in the past few years, and more cities are affected by drug trafficking and its consequences. As in many countries, drug trafficking is increasing in the criminal networks, and the criminal networks are recruiting more and more youngsters exploited for small tasks. In recent years, this phenomenon has become more visible and worrying, with a massive expansion of the climate of violence in numerous metropoles, undermining the more depraved and vulnerable cities such as Marseille, Paris, but also Nantes, Besançon, Lyon, Grenoble, Lille, Valence, Nîmes, for instance. The geography has evolved, but also the intensity and numerous faits divers marked public opinion recently. All this criminal system is based on the recruitment and exploitation of vulnerable young people. Those kids attracted by organized crime are employed for small jobs of the narco-traffic, mostly consisting into monitoring, alerting accomplices, managing illegal drug selling points in the streets, or delivering drug. They are mostly boys and young men from 11 to 20 years old, sometimes 25. They accumulate vulnerabilities, poverty, social and family difficulties, early school dropouts. Most of them are coming from dysfunctional families with single parents, mostly women, or raised by child welfare. They are raised in the poorest neighborhoods of cities, and they also often experiment a feeling of exclusion and discrimination. And this lack of recognition and feeling of failure leads some of them to search a membership in a peer group. Organized crime appears as a solution to find a path, or at least be a part of something, to be someone, and to get easy money. Recruited in the poorest neighborhoods, they are sometimes sent to work far from home. Recruited by a relative, a friend, or acquaintances, they are also more and more attracted today by ads on the internet and social networks. All this contributes to the banalization of these activities and increase its attractiveness, masking the everyday reality of those young slaves and the incredible violence and difficulties they are facing. Those young men are in fact quickly trapped and caught in a criminal spiral with the logic of debt. For example, we have many cases of youngsters employed by the criminal networks who are locked and tortured in a cellar, in a car, beaten up, or shot with a bullet in the knee. In 2020, the MILDECA decided to set up an experiment, a disposal to propose another path to those kids. The mayor is the pilot of the device. The program can be implemented after the intervention of the police, who dismantle a trafficking network and clear up the neighborhood of street dealers. It leads to a collaborative mobilization of all local partners with similar objectives. The key objectives are fight against stereotypes such as easy money, attractive model of gang leaders, fight against the feeling of impunity, especially for the youngsters one, fight against idleness and boredom of youngsters that live in deprived neighborhoods, fight against the feeling of discrimination and frustrations. But we also aim at promoting alternative models and positive experiences, promoting delinquency exit routes, promoting social, educational, and professional insertion, promoting and recreate social links and peaceful quality of life in deprived neighborhoods. Working with those cities and all the actors involved in the programs, we try to identify levers for action and best practices. The first step is to create a partnership and raise awareness among field professionals and to put everyone around the table. Workshop to acculturate professionals to the issues of trafficking and delinquency proved to be very useful. It also appeared necessary to implement life skills program from a very early age at school with programs such as Unplugged or Good Behavior Games, but also with social workers and all the professionals in contact with vulnerable young people most likely to be attracted by criminal networks. Life skills can help people to make informed decisions, solve problems, think critically, communicate, empathize with others, cope with difficulties. All those skills are relevant when you have to resist to the attractiveness of such activities such as traffic and delinquency. The device also focuses on parents who can need help and support. If some of the perpetrators are living within dysfunctional families with addiction, violence, or even sometimes traffic, many families and above all single mothers are just helpless and do not know what to do to protect their children. Parenting and strengthening family programs can be very useful for them by helping to recreate warm and loving relationships and also setting clear boundaries. Those programs are meant to help parents keeping their child safe from both addiction and adverse childhood experiences. The cities also promoted moments for parents wanting to share their fears and experiences about drug trafficking. It was also decided to invest the field of communication in order to fight against the myth of easy money and the glamorization of drug traffickers you can see in movies, series, or video clip of music. Students in a city near Paris choose to create video clips showing the reality of the traffics, violence, and the consequences for them and their family. To fight the attractiveness of traffics, we also try to promote model roles, alternative pathways, and collective thinking about what could be a successful life. The challenge was also to improve our detection of the most vulnerable young people likely to be drawn into the networks. A sort of secondary prevention, sharing information on that matter is essential for early detection and to offer specific support for them and their family, helping them to reintegrate the legal system, find a school, a training or job. Those young someone need a kind of mentor to support them in every day of legal life. The last action we try to experiment is to favor a positive reclaim of the space in link with inhabitants, social landlords, and public partners to prevent the installation or reinstallation of narco traffickers. To conclude, we have to emphasize that the 3 first cities involved in the project have been monitored and assessed all along by a team of researchers. The conclusion of the evaluation are expected for this summer, but to have been visiting regularly these areas, I can say that things have changed. That is why we have decided to finance and support 10 new cities for such projects of prevention of young involvement in drug trafficking. Thank you for your attention.